like to call the special committee meeting for May 18th for the Village of Midlothian to order at 7 o'clock. Roll call.
Trustee Gillis.
Here.
Trustee Ivan.
Here.
Trustee Coley.
Here.
Trustee Price.
Here.
Trustee LaRue.
Here.
Trustee Moskal.
Here.
Mayor Ryback.
Here.
You have a quorum.
Please stand for the pledge. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
At this time, if you'd like to address the board, now would be your time.
Valerie Weisberg, Midlothian, Illinois. First, I'd like to start on a positive note and certainly express my extreme deep gratitude to every member of this board. Last night, I got to watch my youngest son graduate from Oak Forest High School. And one of my biggest concerns living here in Midlothian was that my sons would be retaliated against, as it was already happening during their time, in their junior high school years. The fact that this board took my concerns seriously and treated my circumstances with such respect, I think is the best word I can give. My son graduating, some of it has to do with you guys going ahead and having the courage and the convictions that you do to not only hear me out, but not throw my kids into the mix. So thank you for that. I most definitely appreciate it. In the meantime, Mayor Ryback, you took full advantage of my sharing with you when you were on District 228 my concerns about my children being retaliated against, and you knew that I would not talk about them and that I would not go public with very much, because I was not willing to sacrifice my children to any cause, that my politics are my own and not my children. Please be aware that now that they have graduated and that they are 18 and they are on their own, my rules no longer stand, and anything and everything is fair game, including all the documents that I've sent, not just to the village, but to District 228 and the other municipal units. The reason for that is going to be in hopes of ending the sick, sophisticated retaliation that happens from public officials who coordinate their efforts to scare people into silence. And I'm glad again that the board was willing to let me not stay silent too much, and that I was able at least to get out it as much as I have. And I look forward to bringing even more positive things to this board in the near future. So again, thank you to the board. And Mayor Ryback, I'm sorry, but those rules no longer stand. Everything that I've got is now fully available, and I am going to use it. Thank you.
Is there anybody else who'd like to address the board? With no further comments, we'll move on to trustee business. Trustee Kress.
The first item that I have is an update on the US EPA drive time. This afternoon at 3 o'clock, Peter Kimmeros and I convened a conference call with Neela Lauder and PJ Gephardt at the Illinois Environmental Protection Agency in Springfield. We were on the conference call approximately 30-35 minutes and went through what steps we need to take in order to get the no further remediation out of our letter for the drive time property. I was very vehement and explicit as to the benefits that this economic development will bring to the village of Midlothian, because we own that property and we need to get it back on the tax rolls, generating sales tax revenue, property taxes, even though it's in the TIF, job creation, and how long the property has been vacant. Peter addressed, and I have to say, just so professionally, the environmental issues and what we have to do to get the NFR. So he has a lot of homework to do to get the IEPA what they need. They need the phase 1 and the phase 2, and it cannot be emailed. The remediation application, which the board approved last week, and they want a cover letter. But what their cover letter is an 8 to 9 page document detailing everything that has occurred on that property, from the NFRs that were issued in 2002 to what has occurred today. They told us if there are no gaps in the information provided, this could occur in a pretty quick fashion, not within 30 days. I told them that the board had signed an extension with drive time for 30 days, but I was realistic and I didn't think that they could expedite this in 30 days. They are incredibly short-staffed at the IEPA, and they've had a number of retirements, so they have lost institutional knowledge as well. But I think we have a plan. Peter will get everything mailed to them no later than next Friday, May 27th. It's going to take him that long to put it in a concise document with hopefully no gaps. But I think we got across to the IEPA how important this project is for the Village of Midlothian. And I brought up that it's part of the new CalSeg enterprise zone. So again, I don't know what more we could have done on this phone call. We went through a number of things. The main thing is to get them the information, and hopefully there's no gaps in the information. If there's gaps, it will slow the process. They said we could potentially, from the time they get that information, if there are no gaps, we could have a draft NFR possibly within 30 days. But again, drive time has to sign off on everything. They have to be aware of it. So it's in process, it's in progress. After I got off the conference call, Peter and I talked, and he said he thought I handled the village portion very professionally and stated our case. So stay tuned. I don't know what else we can do at this point. Had we known about this sooner, I think we would have been at the possible draft NFR stage at this point, but Peter's working as quickly and as diligently as he can to get this to the IEPA. And they didn't want the application by itself. They want the entire package. They want the entire package. So, and Peter's also going to be communicating with the environmental consultant for drive time, okay? Keeping them in the loop. So as information becomes available, I will share it with you. I will keep you all updated. While we're on the drive time subject, I also would like to share with the board that yesterday afternoon, Superintendent DeSimone and myself received an email from Mary Schmidt at the CalSeg Enterprise Zone. And guess what? They got the application for drive time. I think that may have something to do with the fact that we had the conference call last week. Peter and I did with all of the principals from drive time, and at that time, I sent Sean Fitzgerald the link to the CalSeg Enterprise Zone with the application, and I stated the urgency of getting that application submitted, and voila, CalSeg Enterprise Zone had it yesterday. So, Mayor, if you could share with me who I need to contact at Ricky Rockets, I would be delighted to get that information to them, because if they are anywhere near the point of pulling permits, they need to get their application in, and we do not have it.
Okay, I'll email it to you, Mark.
Okay, so that was positive, and Superintendent DeSimone and I attended the Enterprise Zone meeting at Southsburg Mayors and Managers on Monday morning, and there was a primer there and an in-service for building department staff. Moving on quickly, I don't have a lot to report on the VFW Village property discussion. I did walk the property, and we had very little time today with Chief Kaufman, because I wanted his input, and he thinks we need to get the survey before we can make a decision. But his thought was, as we walked the property, that besides the 4 spaces to the back of the building, the 6 spaces on the unpaved portion that would be part of the IGIG grant would make most sense, because they'd be closest to your entrance. So I'm going to have to see about getting the survey. So what we've not forgotten, we're working on it, but we have some more work to do. And I need to really sit with Chief Kaufman and talk about it a little bit more, but neither one of us had a lot of time this afternoon.
We don't know what the property lines are there.
That's why we need to get the survey. We need to get the survey. And that's what Attorney Gleason said. We need to get the survey.
We know where our property lines are, but we don't know where yours are.
No,
Correct.
so we've got to get.
Well, I don't personally know where it's at.
Right, well, that's, I mean, right.
Somebody does.
No,
Hopefully the surveyor will know,
Yeah.
correct?
the surveyor will know, but nobody in the village knows right now.
The other item, next item, complete streets. We had a complete streets implementation steering committee meeting today. And trustee Ivan attended, so if you want to jump in at any point. We had 4 representatives from the Active Transportation Alliance here. And Tony Mano from CMAP showed up because he wanted to talk about the CMAP Local Technical Assistance Project that we're scoping, that he's scoping right now. And I thought his presentation was excellent. He talked about communicating with the steering committee today that their hope is, or his plan is, we're not going to have another plan. We are going to have drawings, and we are going to be at a point when they are done with their project that we can apply for funding for implementation, and he will help us seek the funding. Those of you who've been around for a while, Tony was with the RTA, he has a lot of connections. He also has a development background, he's also a planner. So I think having Tony working in conjunction with Active Trans and Center for Neighborhood Technology, because they're all working on this project together, I think it's very exciting, including the stormwater management portion, which he talked about. They've engaged Christopher Burke Engineering to do the stormwater management portion. So kind of exciting stuff. Did you have anything you wanted to add?
He said he was a planner, that's mostly his background, but this project he was talking more about implementation
Right.
than planning so much. So they were actually excited about that, and especially the stormwater, because that's unique, and the idea of IDOT being involved as well is another unique situation for them.
Yeah, we got IDOT at the table for the kickoff meeting. So we are having a Complete Streets community outreach on Saturday, June 18th. You're all invited. Hope you'll be there because all input is really essential. It will be from 1 to 3 o'clock that day. They will have 4 tables and
Where?
the library, I'm sorry, Midlothian Public Library has graciously agreed to host. The tables will be challenges we face, materials that we will use such as flowers and furniture and benches. The 3rd table will be solutions, and the 4th table will be voting on activities. I think I kind of captured that. And they are going to be, they have a budget to provide materials that we will be able to keep. And I'm kind of excited about it. And then from that, we will have a demonstration project on 147th Street, probably in September. We have to get permitting from IDOT. But all of this is hopefully the beginning of much better things in the future, and we really want to engage the business community on 147th Street for this community outreach because of the benches and the planters and the things that they can do with their businesses. So we're going to do a targeted outreach to the businesses, and some of us are going to go and personally talk to the businesses and hand deliver letters. And the Active Trans is preparing all this material. So it's kind of exciting. It's a lot of work, not underestimating the amount of work. I know a lot of people think these are dreams. They're not. This is reality. We've got these partners, Center for Neighborhood Technology, Active Trans, and CMAP, all working together. So, stay tuned. A year, 2, 3 years from now, I think things are going to look very different. And when we have somebody like Tony Mano, and we have a Molly Ocean, you put these powerhouses together, and they look for funding, and they know how to get things done. And they know the folks to contact to get things done. I'm really excited. Rain Ready will be meeting tomorrow morning at 10 a.m. and Molly Ocean will be here, so that's exciting because she, of course, is our powerhouse on Rain Ready. The Veterans Committee met Monday evening. Most of that discussion surrounded the parade. And I'm going to bring up committee membership when I can ask the attorney questions next week. But I thought we had a good meeting, and I want to thank the members who showed up, Jean and George. And you talked about the enterprise zone. Oh, one question, Mayor. Do you have any updates on the gentleman who was interested in purchasing the used car lot on Cicero? We were gonna get a redevelopment agreement tied to a contract, and I don't think we've seen anything.
The attorney is still working on the details of the redevelopment agreement because we're trying to do it without Class 8. And he has already secured the funding for the purchase of the property. He
Okay.
says he has a letter from his bank, so just kind of waiting to get the final tweaks on the redevelopment agreement. And then you'll be getting a copy of it for your review and approval.
And then I emailed everyone, I would like to go into executive session to discuss the setting the price of village property.
Right, I have that.
Okay, and that, I believe, I haven't seen it.
Okay, great. Trustee Ivan.
Thank you, Mayor. I'll be relatively quick. The cleanup day, thank you, went out to, I sent out an email, and we're going to send out letters and email to all the people that gave us their email addresses and to the businesses that donated for cleanup day. I'll especially mention Kristen Ramirez and Sandy Crowley, and of course Public Works for how well it went, and the planning and the whole aspect of it. I think it went really well. Another note, beautification meeting for tomorrow has been canceled. And also had a departmental safety committee meeting as well. And not all the departments, there wasn't all the departments were not represented at the meeting. I thought because we use that internal calendar that all the department heads, I guess, use internal calendar as wrong. So I'll have to, I guess, send out an email to make sure that they remember it. We went from monthly meetings to quarterly. And so the next one is, of course, in 3 months. Two of the things that came up, that were pretty important, I guess, was we have an issue with the birds in the Public Works garage where they're pooping over all the equipment and stuff like that. So I don't know if we need to have our health inspector look at it, decide if it's bad, or if we need something to get an exterminator in there to control the birds.
And it's been an ongoing thing for years.
I don't think there's anything the health officer can do. He would probably tell you, you gotta get, how are they getting in, and you're gonna have to get it sealed, right?
I think the problem is you open the overhead doors
Oh,
and
they
they go
fly
in.
in?
Right. And for years, they've been going on that east wall.
Yeah, they're nesting now.
Yeah.
I mean, there's some holes in the cinder block where the birds are going in and inside the cinder block and
I
nesting.
think it probably needs to get repaired then.
Yeah, so, I don't know how we would go about doing that.
Cats.
Feral cats, that's a big thing the last couple of weeks. I don't know.
If it was 1 or 2 birds, you could probably get, but there was
Like a dozen.
There was-
Yeah,
It was a-
Yeah.
there's a family.
aviary.
It's been like that for at least
Aviary.
8 years. I'm guessing probably 20.
I don't know how you get rid of them.
I think
Like to talk to the exterminator maybe? They got something for that
I'm sure
or?
there's things they can do in there to prevent them from,
Nesting?
like, you have to do something to get rid of them, but there's things you can do to prevent them from nesting.
spray vinegar works for everything.
It's very true.
So I write that down.
Yeah, usually half dose though.
Oh.
All right, so I'll further pursue some more interesting ways to resolve this issue, or look into the issue, I guess.
I would definitely look to see how bad the structure is. I mean, it would probably be.
tower on
Keep it, sir.
Another issue that came up is with the fire trucks driving down the streets. We have some of the tree branches are a little low and they're hitting them. They said from Millard to Sawyer seem to be the worst series of streets. So I'm gonna talk to you, Joe, about that as well, to trim them up, I guess, right?
Yeah, I mean, they would just need to be probably about, I would say 13 feet.
13 feet?
Yeah. Just because you don't want all the paint's chipping on the top. And then it could damage a light, and that's expensive, so.
Okay. I'll talk to Joe about that then. And then we also talked about your signage project that you gave us. Did not forget it. It's turned over his to the building department. They're looking into ordinance changes and enforcing existing ordinances and getting the buildings, the apartments in particular, to put signage at the streets for the emergency vehicles. So Billy says he's going to get back to me later on that.
Yeah, it's in his top 5 priorities. He's got a lot of priorities right now.
So we haven't forgotten. And that ends everything I have to say.
Okay, thank you. Trustee Ulis.
Oh, yes, a couple of things. In regards to an update on existing and new business applications, we do not have any new business applications since the last time we reported on gaming license that are pending. I believe there's still 5 pending. We have had a business close last night. Hardee's closed. To my knowledge, they've been leasing this property. There is no other information regarding that. I had heard rumors that they were contemplating closing a few weeks back, but again, I just assumed it was rumors, so.
Jerry, if I could just jump in, I wanted to check when I heard about it today to see if it would have been in foreclosure. And they purchased that property in 2013.
Okay.
They did not lease it. If you go to the Cook County Recorder of Deeds and put in their PIN, they purchased that property for a substantial amount of money, over $1 million. Or at least the mortgage was over $1 million. And it's out of someplace out west, a bank out west, because they were from Arizona.
Well, it was surprising seeing, after Wendy's closed, I figured they would have more business based on that, but I'm not sure what the problem was. I don't know if anybody else knows.
I had heard high property taxes, and a couple, probably 2-3 months ago, I looked, and they had not paid last year's taxes. So when I did the research today, they did pay last year's taxes, which were $95,000. The year before, they were $116,000. They have not paid the first installment of this year's taxes. Those are still outstanding.
Okay. And as far as any other businesses, there are no other new purchases or new closings going on. I know there was rumors going around or some talk about TJ's potentially being sold. To my knowledge, that is not a fact. I know it's for sale. I know Keystone Cafe is for sale, but there has not been any purchase of that property or any other purchases or any other closings within the business district. As far as our part-time code enforcement officer, we've had it on the village website now for 2 weeks. We've accumulated 2 applications. We will continue to keep it on the website for 2 more weeks. We have 2 pending applications from individuals who applied for a superintendent's job that I asked Superintendent DeSimone to contact them because they seem like they would have been qualified to be an inspector if they choose to be, and it is a part-time position, 28 hours a week. So he has those 2 that he is going to make contact to and possibly set up some interviews with the people we have, with the applications that we do have. Next week we will have a final list or a recommendation for our vacant property maintenance code enforcement that we would like to have in place. The building department has procedures they'd like to see the company that we decide to take on this job for the summer. Right now we do have a couple of locations that Public Works has taken care of in the meantime, and we will have a list of, I believe it's up to 42 now, of vacant homes that will be addressed by the company that we do bring in. Like I said, they have, Skip and Billy have been working on procedures that they would like to see followed so we don't have problems like we had last year with duplication of cutting, not knowing when they're cutting. They have purchased a camera, digital camera for the department to use to verify any issues as far as the length of grass. They're following our ordinances, which we neglected to do properly last year, so that will be on the agenda for this year, make sure we do that properly. Outside of that, we have had the applications for the Illinois Association of Floodplains and Stormwater Management. Assistant Superintendent Swanson is going to be a member, and Superintendent DeSimone. It's $25 a year. There's a lot of activities that pertain to being a member. It consists of obviously the community rating system, education outreach, legislative mitigation. There's a newspaper that goes out. There's wetland information, youth outreach programs. They have annual conference awards. I mean, it's quite in depth what they do. So we will have 2 members, and I think that was a recommendation that your contacts submitted to you. So we're going to make sure that we have follow-up, and I believe our coordinator is also becoming a member, Kathy. So
He is?
So that will be the 3 that we will have.
And just to reiterate, that is the organization that bestowed upon Rain Ready, Midlothian Rain Ready, the 2016 Education
Yes.
and Outreach Award. So it's a really valuable organization.
And we will continue to get information that hopefully will help us with the community rating system and help us, with our flood problems that we have in town. And hopefully they'll bring back information that they can share with their departments and the board. And that's all I have.
Okay, thank you. Trustee LaRue.
Yes, ma'am. Deputy Chief Rita graciously offered to attend tonight's meeting and back me up on this software stuff. But since he's here, we're going to congratulate him on the birth of his baby son.
Oh, I didn't, Luke.
Luke.
Last I heard, we didn't have any.
Luke White.
Congratulations.
He says he's done. So anyways, I gave you all a copy of this whole packet. The state is mandating that our fire department do the EMS reporting electronically now, which requires us to purchase software to do that. As you see in the proposal, we could add to our current firehouse software, and the price of that was going to be $6,190 a year. But after speaking to many other departments that use Firehouse, it's a very, they despise, according to the proposal, they despise using the Firehouse software, and because of the difficulty of the software, it almost doubles the downtime at the hospital while doing it. So what the fire department is recommending is going with Image Trend. Image Trend will replace Firehouse and then include the EMS reporting software. It's a $3,500 one-time fee to do the changeover, which can be put over 3 years. So their pricing will be $8,166 for the first 3 years, and $7,000 for each year after that. I guess the good news in all this is that we won't have to buy the hard copy reports anymore, which will save money, and it will dramatically decrease the downtime at the hospital from doing the reports on the computer now. So that's about it. I don't know if you had anything else.
I like to add too that Dan Dazzle's the one who put the spies in there. He wrote this and he did a really good job. Firefighter Paramedic Dazzle. He's good with the software programs, things like that. His father actually runs the Orland 911. He's the superintendent, and he also created his own police software that he sells like on the East Coast and stuff. So they're real smart family computer-wise, so it's a good project for him. He did poll a lot of other departments around and ask, and this is really the future of where this is going, as opposed to Firehouse kind of patching things together to keep up with where technology is going. the things that he put in there that are gonna be substantial are, we would have had to buy more wireless cards to be able to electronically move all the documents. Well, with Image Trend, it just automatically goes up to a cloud system. Once you hit a Wi-Fi or you're back at the station, then it will allow it to download. So it's taking out that whatever monthly charge it is for those air cards. We did get 4 computers. They were all about $4,500 a piece, donated for free too from Moreland. So we got a couple of real good people over there that we talk to on the EMS end. We get stuff from them, and things from Moreland that are old are new to us. We like them, and we keep in contact with them. And we really did save a substantial amount of money going about this, because like one of the pages shows, could have been a $40,000 hit to do this. So we're keeping it under 10 grand, and I think that's outstanding.
The equipment that you got from Moreland, was that like scrubbed and new operating systems put in, or?
Yeah, it actually, Dan's dad went through them completely. He said he's gonna set up, he's even gonna help set up the new programs and everything, so he wiped them completely.
Okay.
Yeah, so they're 3-year-old computers. And they're taking them, they're recycling and putting new. So they're actually police computers, but they're being taken off, wiped out completely, and same purpose, just different software.
So I see in the email from Chief Hotwagner, he did budget for this in the 2017 budget, knowing that this mandate was coming from the state. So I asked for this to be on the agenda for approval next week.
Ready to buy printers?
Yes, it's about $100 a piece.
Oh.
$300. Not too bad. No, and
But
you want
at
to
the
do that
hospital-
because the hospital computers, they're beat up, there's never paper, the ink, it's a mess. So it's easier, and a lot of departments already have, they learned the hard way. Just get a couple $100 printers.
So my recommendation next week will go with the Image Trend software for EMS reporting.
And would you thank Parker, paramedic, Dalzell?
Absolutely.
Thank him.
You really did an excellent job, Will.
I think all the trustees would agree.
Definitely.
Let's see, the fire department monthly report for April. Highlights of that, we had 122 medical emergency calls. Monthly billing for April was $77,353, and we received $32,908. We closed out fiscal year 16, right? With receivables of $343,218, which is right around what we thought we'd get. So, good job. So that's on the agenda for next week for approval. Let's see, Chief Hotwagner is in Wisconsin at this time at a construction meeting for a new fire engine. I believe it's still on pace to be delivered.
Probably early July.
Okay.
Yeah.
It was me too, okay.
Late June.
I'm sure.
Well, they always run into like he sent me a message earlier, they run into some problems where cabinets are shifting. We had some issues with the ambulance as well. So when things are built from scratch, it's a lot of hands involved.
I'm sure I'll have a report next week.
Absolutely.
Let's see what else. We'll talk again next week at board about the Fire Up a Cure event. I believe Julie from the fire department has put it out there.
Yeah, on our Facebook page, and the other guys are sharing it around, but
I'm not sure what that program is called. We can donate money. It's not.
I can actually I'll share it, and if you guys want to do something on the village website,
Keep sharing it. And then, of course, Saturday is our CPC golf outing. Did quite very well on poll sponsors and donations. I'm unfortunately still looking for golfers, so if anybody wants to golf Saturday, I need at least 2 foursomes. So we had a couple canceled this week, so that's all I have.
Okay, thank you. Trustee Gilliland.
Okay. Before I forget, Mayor, last meeting, I moved the co-bred bill off the consent agenda. We never talked about it again, so we never approved it. So If we're gonna put it on the agenda, I still want to talk about it, so maybe we can put it as a separate.
Separate item,
but
okay.
We have to approve it. I had the great pleasure today at 2 o'clock of attending a Javelin meeting. So the first thing I suggested was to have a group picture because I forgot what the people look like since the last meeting was about a year and a half ago. But I'd like to talk about that in executive session. HR consultant. Okay, so let me back up a second. It looks like from the timing of everything as far as the budget approval that we won't be able to have a finance committee meeting to consider the almost, the 90% completion of the budget until probably the first part of June. And I'm thinking from past experience that the finance committee is going to have enough questions that it has to be some tweaking and so on and so forth. So, I would expect that the budget, if we're lucky, would be approved hopefully by the end of June. But that brings me in a roundabout way to HR consultant because I talked about last time, or a couple meetings ago, that we should just put a $25,000 figure in for HR consultant, and that would, of course, start with the HR audit. And I was fine with that, but some things around Village Hall have me concerned in the personnel field, and I'd like to ask us to consider to start the HR audit immediately. I think there's some issues that I think we need that needs to surface so we can correct them. And I know it's not budgeted. Well, it is. We're in the new fiscal year. It's not quite budgeted yet. We are going to put a figure in the budget for $25,000. And as part of this HR consultant, I really feel that the employee interviews are essential, especially for some things that I think should be talked about and learned by the HR consultant. So there's some things that happen that are not right and kept on happening, and I think they need to be, we need to have a process to correct them. So I don't know how the board feels about that, but I tried.
How we feel about what?
About getting the HR consultant started before the budget was actually approved.
Sure.
Right.
I like that.
Did she sign the contract? I know you said that.
No, we have to.
We haven't approved the
Basically,
contract.
we're directing her to do this project. In other words, we'll put the project HR audit and employee interviews in this project, then she signs that because we direct her to do one thing at a time. She signs that, and that's how it's authorized. It's not a blank check authorization.
But I don't think we approved her contract.
No, we didn't.
So
Well,
we
that's
need
what
to
I'm
get-
saying.
We need to get that on the agenda to
Yeah, we need to
approve
get it on the
on
agenda,
next
but we'll also have
Wednesday.
this little thing about the HR audit, and then we're
Yes.
going to approve the contract and the authorization for the HR audit and employee interviews. Okay, newsletter, I've not been able to get the information, like the exact figures about the newsletter. I'm not looking for abouts, I'm looking for the exact figures, so we have to make sure we got it right, so we don't, from Crestwood. And so I have to work a little harder to get the exact figures and estimates. Floodplain management, I did have a nice conversation with Mr. Michael Sutton from Sutton. I get looked up, apparently he did a couple times, but from Ottawa, who was nice enough to spend about 45 minutes on the phone with me to talk about how we could improve our processes and to make sure we're always in compliance with NFIP, and also to improve our knowledge base and our expertise for the village in order to enhance our possibilities of controlling flooding problems. And I sent the board basically a summary of what his what he told me. Is there any questions or any comments on that from anybody?
I want to know what's your recommendation based on this?
Well, I'm a little concerned because I'm not public works and I'm not building. So, you know, the one thing is what Jerry talked about. Joe Sperry is interested in being a CFM, and I think Billy will too. Basically, we can fly him out to Virginia for a week, and they at no charge to the village except for a slight meal cost. They can come back if they pass the test on Friday. They can come back certified floodplain manager. So that would be a nice thing to do, and I think we'll get that done.
There also is study material that I've been looking at that they can,
Online.
yeah,
Online, they can prep for it.
yes.
Was it Superintendent Sperry or Assistant
No,
Superintendent?
actually, Carl, Superintendent Sperry said that he'd be interested. Is that right?
Well, we had initially thought, Ty Swanson,
Yes.
just to take some load off of Joe, but if Joe is interested.
Well, that's the memo I got from you.
Well, Joe said that somebody from the department.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Not, I don't know if he specifically said he was.
Okay.
And that's why we thought of Ty.
Yeah, well, I initially thought tech, but, okay, so
And
someone
I
from
think
the.
Ty has
Yeah, he just wants to know the time and when.
Yes.
I believe Ty has somewhat of a, I may be wrong, but I believe he went to college and he has some engineering background.
He does. He has a bachelor's degree from Eastern Illinois University.
Okay, so, yes, definitely.
So we will have, hopefully, just to reiterate, we'll have one, hopefully CFM in the building department and one in public works.
Yes.
And I think that's very
And,
positive.
and also membership in IEFSM. They actually have a ready response team from managers that actually, if we had a major flooding event, they would come up and help us take the buildings and evaluate the buildings. So, I mean, they have on the ground floor with FEMA and IEMA, and that's a good group to be part of, definitely. But one thing I wanted, you know, I wanted to reiterate what their concern is with the NFIP is basically that our responsibility is to try to control flooding and also to evaluate buildings that do flood. And they have flood claims, but they have nothing from us saying that we do anything as far as evaluating the buildings that make flood claims. You know, are they first timers? Are they repetitive? Is there any remediation to that? You know, so on and so forth. And so that's why how we got dinged for Brian Eber basically is that they would, for years, they got flood claims, but nothing from us saying that, you know, we were doing anything to remediate that at all. And so that's how we got trouble with NFIP. And, you know, he's talking about basically you have to have a database of all the buildings in Midlothian, especially your floodplain, and keep a running tally of what's going on flooding. And if they do flood, you've got to evaluate what happened with it. You know, is it the first time? Is it the second time? You know, he just told me that a school in this town in Ottawa, he just demolished because it was a repetitive flooding property, and basically that's what they had to do. And so that's how we get in trouble with NFIP, when there's nothing from us saying what we're doing. So I think we can definitely improve our procedures, and he had no problem if we can tighten up some of our procedures. He said we can go for CRS. We don't have to wait. If we get 500 points, we have some of these procedures, and you know, and CRS comes and looks at them and C80 or C8 visit, basically we can go. It's just we have to get our, you know, ducks in a row a little bit.
And that's the other thing about utilizing both public works and building department. Because we have to realize, we only have 1.5 employees right now in the building department.
Yes.
We're gonna have 2 part-time, 1 full-time.
Yes.
And we're asking quite a bit of information and requirements from those 4 employees, which 2 of them are just code inspectors.
Right.
So we're putting a lot on Superintendent DeSimone's plate, which I think he's more than willing to accept. But having Public Works also being certified gives us the latitude of possibly utilizing personnel from that department if need be so.
To inspect the flood.
Right.
Oh, absolutely.
And then, in having two CFMs, or even having one will get us more points on the.
Yes, it does.
The
Yes, it
CRS
does.
application, right?
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah, there's communities that have 5 or 6.
I know, Frankfurt does.
Yeah. And I think membership in AFSM does too.
So we don't get any credit for our engineer being,
Nope.
I mean-
No. Got to
they
be
have
employee.
6 or
Gotta
7
be
a year.
employee.
Got to be an employee. I asked him about that. He said, look, an engineer's got CFM. I said, yeah. Was he employed? No, can't count. But the one thing I wanted to talk about was basically he looked at the floodplain map, and we have to realize that the last survey for this map was 2008, so it's probably out of date a little bit. And we have to realize that they're guessing a little bit. They didn't go and take surveys for everything. They're guessing. And GIS, GIS is always about 2/10 of something. I don't know what that is. I'm not an engineer, but it's off a little bit. And if you're off 1/10, you're going to you have to get flood insurance. So basically, he suggested that homeowners should get surveys, and I did a little minimal work, and basically we can get an elevation survey from this one gentleman. I'm sure there's more than one gentleman who would do this for $250. So, when you figure that a lot of these people are paying thousands of dollars of flood insurance, that might be a good thing. But I think a lot of people are unaware of it. So he suggested having a community meeting, talk to people about how this all works, and to encourage them to get elevation certificates, elevation surveys. He thought, I think we have about 250 homes in the floodplain right now, I think. And he thought that just from looking at the floodplain map, which when we were on the phone, he was telling me all about Midlothian when we were on the phone. And he thought maybe up to 75 homes could get out. So, he suggested having this community meeting drum up support for it, maybe talking to some other surveyors to see if they would be in the same ballgame, but price-wise, and give people a list for, who they could contact. To get the whole home, it's $850, but, actually, if you're really technically sampling a little bit and filling out the application, maybe you can get it done for yourself.
I did mine in an hour.
But,
10 years ago.
fine, okay, yeah. Maybe you can be a consultant.
My point was it was not overly difficult
Okay,
to do.
so,
We could set something
You
to
know,
help people.
I'd like to see if we could get that meeting going, and I would be in charge of it or whatever, but I think it would be, could help a lot of our homeowners. He was talking to me about a place on Terrace Lane that was 1/10 of something, I forget what it is. It's the average elevation, I think is what it is, next to their neighbor. They're in the floodplain. Another one has their home not in the floodplain, but their yard's in the floodplain. I mean, there's a lot of, there's a lot of things that could happen that we could help some homeowners. I mean, they are gambling $250, but considering that flood insurance is expensive, and it's going up because now they're just going to guess at it. They're using the actuarial base to determine the flood insurance rates, and so now it's going to get really expensive because now they're going to tag, okay, you've got a lot of claims over in one area, look out. So it's not anything fun.
Is an added incentive if a resident is currently paying for flood insurance and they receive a letter of map amendment or a letter of map revision, they are entitled to this year's and last year's premium back in full.
That's right.
Plus they don't have to pay going forward.
Right. So
It makes the $250
even better.
insane.
Yeah. So may we consider that?
That's a good idea.
Do we have a volunteer to? Jerry, you want to take it? Take it? Okay, great. Especially since it's your department.
Well, I'm just going to delegate, so there you go.
Okay, is there anything else on there? So I do have a question though. When this all came up with Brian Ebert, did Jeff talk to you, Jerry, about some ways, or Mayor, about some ways to help our processes or try to get out of the floodplain, or, I mean, try to improve our processes so we won't get in trouble with an FIP, or maybe we could,
Well, I know one of the big things was to hire a superintendent, which we
Right.
finally did that, so I
Right.
know that's a biggie.
And the next would be when we have permit applications that are in the floodplain, that we specifically,
Note that they're in the flood zones.
right, and we track the work, the amount of the value of the work, and then it has to be a file set up just for that. Now, they're doing that with the map locations that they get to train in, so they can go on the computer and find it.
So we've implemented that as well.
Yes.
But this was all because of Brian Evers, because of the CAB
Right.
letter.
Right.
That was a result of the CAB
Right.
letter.
I mean, he wants, you know, Mike wants us to put the assessor's, you know, property number on each property for every one, you know, and put it on GIS, but, you know, I guess I was a little embarrassed. I wasn't embarrassed, Mike was very helpful. He's a great contact, we can talk to him anytime, but I don't know, maybe I'm expecting too much, but I think our engineer should have been doing this. I think our engineer, unless somebody told him, unless we told him no, he shouldn't be doing this, but I think our engineer should have been doing this and saying, hey, you know, look, this could be happening. I mean, even when he told me 75 homes were possibilities to get out, that's pretty huge, you know. And again, it reinforces, you know, we went through this whole baloney before about, you know, do we want to go out for RFP for engineering? I'm all for it, and not that I don't like Jeff, but, you know, and of course we'd be willing to talk to Robinson to explain the services they do right now, but I think I sort of expect that the engineer is a little more proactive than that. His job is not to do things when they're requested, but I think his job is to share his knowledge with us, because I had no idea about any of this, and I don't know how many of us did, but I think, you know, for myself, just speaking for myself, I think we expect the engineer to help us, even if there's not a lot of money in there for them. I expect them to be an advocate for the citizens of Midlothian.
I would just like to say, you know, and I don't disagree with you, Dan, but with the lack of a superintendent, I believe that a lot of, 90% of what you're asking probably comes from the guidance or the recommendation from the department head in that department, which we were lacking. So maybe they're just used to getting that and we weren't supplying that.
Maybe Mike has had public works in Iowa, but, you know, I don't know. I would support the idea that we go ahead with the RFP for engineer, just in line with our every 3-year type of operation. I think every 3 years we should evaluate all our contractual vendors. And if there's, you know, I think Robinson, as far as a technical engineering firm, is excellent. But again, I think maybe there's something else out there for us too. Anybody have any comment on that?
I wouldn't disagree, nothing against our engineering firm, but we don't know what's out there unless we evaluate it.
Right, and I think we're finding it across the board. It's probably a smart thing to do.
With all professional services, just like
Right.
human resources,
Auditing,
auditing,
yeah.
engineering, anything else that would come along. I think it's just probably
Good business.
good business
Just
practice.
yeah, lots of places do that. So, I mean, Nicole pretty much has it ready, so I guess I'll be asking pretty soon that maybe, I don't know who we can run it by, just to double check for things that are maybe not quite technically right, or Nicole, she does 100%, but, you know, just to make sure we get, like, we gave it to Alan for expertise for the audit, so maybe we can find a friend that can just look at it and make sure this is okay. The last thing on my thing is the collection agency. We got a report on the receivables from the collection agency. Looks like we're doing everything we can do to collect things pretty much, but did they make a comment on receivables?
I had
Did
two
they
comments.
strike out, that strike you?
Well, I had two comments on some things that Jeff, or Roger pointed out. And that was that we haven't sent, I think we knew this because we talked about this already, but we haven't sent water collections to the debt recovery program with the IOC in several years. And I know we're doing a really good job in-house of late chasing those between Robin and Nicole. But I'm wondering if some of the oldest, biggest ones, the ones where we can't find people, we should send. Because I think at one point in time, we thought those were not eligible,
But they are.
and they are.
And that jumped
They
out
are.
at me too, Ellen, and I think we should send it to the IOC.
The other thing, and I was talking to Chief Kaufman about this last week, is we have not been pursuing debts for the enhanced tow fines when people don't pick up their vehicles. So if they just decide they're not gonna come get their car, we don't get the $750 enhanced tow fine fee. Those are also collectible under our ordinance and under the LDRP program. So, I mean, that's a procedural thing we can change and start pursuing those as well. I'll check with the attorney and see if we have to pass anything, but that's new revenue, that's not collecting older things. So I think the water, we should probably pursue for, maybe not everything at first, but let's talk to Nicole or Robin and see how we want to approach that.
Well, yeah, we talked about, and also the building fines, is that right, Jerry? Jerry, is that right? We're gonna also
Yes,
possibly refer the building fines to that haven't been paid?
correct.
The only thing, did they look like, I know moves is always a slow mover, but, and again, Roger didn't give us a report like I was used to, but it seemed like the collections on the parking was a little, I don't know, wasn't, I was sort of surprised that we only, since, is that, am I reading right, since 2012, we've collected, was it 222,000?
Yeah, for 2 years, 2010 to 2012.
But I wonder what we've collected under the IOC. That's not, this doesn't include the
Yeah, this is
IOC.
only his stuff.
This is only his stuff.
Yeah, okay.
I mean, that's a huge amount for
No, wait a minute.
last year, too.
Tom, I think if you're looking at amount collected, that was only for 2015. That's not a
Oh.
cumulative amount.
Well, that's only 2015.
Yeah, since it's
Oh,
number
good.
2, since the most
Okay,
important
okay.
number for the village
Sorry.
is revenue collected, I've added a column for that number for the year
Sorry.
2015.
Okay.
So that's just 1 year.
Okay. Well, then that's okay. Do we want, okay, so then the next question is, we've had Roger for about 3 years, do we want to look for a collection agency in line with our policy? Verbal policy.
We probably
Well,
should.
stand to reason if we're gonna look
We
every other
should,
service.
right. No, we should.
I mean, last time we looked, we didn't find too many people that were even qualified to do it. I don't mind taking a crack at it again and seeing what happens. Is our former collection agency eligible? I mean, they collect for us though. They're collecting the old,
Really?
old things, but, okay. That's all.
Okay, thank
You don't wanna talk about the code red?
If he wants to
Well, I'm
have
not
it
talking
on
about
the
COVID
agenda.
now, why not, we can talk about COVID now, and then we'll eliminate the issue, right?
Yeah,
If we can get, we streamline the next meeting, is that right? So basically, Gary, you had a thought, go on.
had a
When I
great
asked you
thought.
about, when I asked you about it, you had a very good thought.
Well, we checked with Chief Hotmaker, we only have 867 people registered to get COVID, and we pay $6,000 a year for that. So I think that was your question to me, is it worth it?
Yes, and that's my question to the board, is it worth it, one?
How much are you saying?
Six-
6,000?
$6,000 a year.
But we don't even have 20% of our residents signed up.
Right. But it's for specific, it's for, well, it can be used for a lot of different things, but it's really that emergency thing that we get out to people immediately, which we couldn't do that with any other format,
So
newspaper or anything else.
we wouldn't have a backup format to use in place of it.
No. No,
So
we
maybe-
tried Nixle and it didn't work very well. Code Red's the best service out there, but 867 people. That's $7 a person. That's,
Yeah.
So maybe what we need to do is look to bring in more residents.
okay. That's what we said. How do we get that media blitz out there to convince people that this is a good thing.
One idea I had was
And
when
not-
when people are signing up for their vehicle sticker, that we could ask them if they want to sign up for it. But we also need the media blitz it to prepare them at the same time, because for some reason, people didn't sign up for Code Red. I mean, what? We're not gonna sell their phone numbers. You know, I mean, I guess that's what people think is that.
I'm sure that's part of it.
Yeah.
But also, we do a very poor job of communicating. Goes back to that, we do a terrible job of communicating.
Well, maybe if I get the newsletter information,
Yeah.
we can also use that. If the website isn't going to,
No, because not everybody has a
everybody goes
computer.
out, right.
Just
Not everybody has a
All right,
computer.
well, we have the water bills down in envelope, why don't we stick something in every water bill for the next 3 months and try to get that up.
The red piece of paper that says sign up for Code Red.
And explain it. So who's gonna develop that? Nicole?
do that.
Probably.
Well, we already have the pamphlets. We could probably downsize the pamphlet for Code Red.
Okay,
I don't think that should be too hard to fit on just like a little strip.
well, what does everyone think the issue is? Is it just, we haven't got the word out good enough, or
I'm sure that's
people are afraid to
probably,
give their phone?
I don't want to eliminate it because I think it is an asset in many ways.
Well, and I'm wondering if people don't think they can get it because they think they have to have a landline. You know, they don't realize it can go to their cell phone or their
Well,
email.
let's revisit the pamphlet and see if that
Yeah.
covers everything, and try to stick that in the water bills for the next 3 months.
Or in a village sticker envelope, a little red piece of paper.
That's all.
That's the bonus, that's
Oh,
the
yeah.
postcard.
So I guess,
Is-
I don't know, water bill, that's what it's for.
Can we get someone
No,
to
so
with
they
a
pick up their
Oh,
village
app
sticker.
put on a tablet and get some people walking around with it. Thunder over the Bulky and other events like that. Put one in the vestibule when people come in and pay their bills or get their village stickers.
Yeah,
Maybe
put the
we
Code Red app
I'm kind
on
of
it.
thinking like, you know, bands have people going around at their events to get people to sign up for them.
Code Red probably already did.
They might have one.
Yeah, right, got it. And then everybody with
We
cell
found a couple
phone except for
volunteers.
mine, but I mean, everybody with a regular cell phone can sign up people right away.
And it's very painless to sign up, register for it, it's just,
Okay,
Just a thought.
okay, so
I
we
will go
want,
ahead and try to get this more advertised and get more people signed up.
yeah,
okay,
and we'll reevaluate it.
I don't remember the exact amount. I think we paid, when we sent the postcards out for e-billing, remember those, they were like,
the green
the
postcards.
green postcards, I think they were somewhere around $750 that we sent to every address.
Just the postcard, yeah, plus the mailing.
Right. But I mean, but compared to what we're paying for Code Red, I mean, it's another option too. Let's just get one out to every address.
Well, if we put it in their water bill, every house will get one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Within a 3-month period.
If some
we'll
people
get one.
see it.
What about renters? Sorry.
Renters.
I know when Joe was telling me that, like when there's a water main break or something like that, they try to use the Code Red, but they still physically have to go door to door and leave a door knocker.
Door hanger.
Door hanger.
Right.
They leave a door hanger on the doorknob, saying that the water, you know, is bad or whatever they think it is.
So
If they've got a water main where they're working on and they are working on it more than one day, they call you every day and tell you that you won't, you know, that you have this problem.
If you're
Through Code
Code
Red.
The
Red
Code
or,
Red does.
So you like the service, you enjoy it?
Yes, I do.
I do too.
I do too.
So let's
So-
figure out a way to get more people on it.
All right. So we're gonna pay the bill next week?
yes,
All right.
Okay,
thank you.
all right, thank you. Trustee Moskowitz.
Yes, a few items, since we're talking about RFPs, the RFP for audit services was posted today. I believe Nicole also sent it to 5 or 6 different places that we had names we discussed, she and I, and Maggie, some recommendations from Maggie actually. We set, I believe, a response date of June 20th, so I'll keep the board posted as those come in. I have a, I'm sorry I didn't email this, but I'm just passing around a copy of a resolution I wrote. Is a reminder for next week's board meeting. At the beginning of the meeting, we will thank Officer Miller on his retirement. We have a plaque that we will present, and I drafted this. If anybody sees any changes, let me know. This is not my strong suit. I borrowed from some things, some information from the police department, and that's what, I'd like to have that on the agenda. Mayor, if we could do that, obviously, at the beginning of the meeting, so.
Right.
I'm expecting, I know that Chief Hoffman sent an email, I think, to all the village employees, so I'm expecting at least a lot of policemen will be here. Also, two other things regarding the police department. I had some an opportunity to speak with Officer Gully about some challenges with record keeping, and doing some follow-ups on crime-free housing. So I have an idea of something we can do to improve that, but I need to speak with a few other people first. So I will send the board an email this week with my proposal for how we might address that. Did you receive anything from the sergeants about beginning negotiations for their union?
I just got another, yes, I had gotten the original letter and then I hadn't heard anything, and then we had another issue come up, and then all of a sudden that brought up and by the way, while we're doing this one, we also want to start talking about the sergeants.
The sergeants, okay.
So, yeah, we'll be moving
We'll
on.
get back to them
Mhm.
and set something soon, okay. Reminder, this Friday is the Cop on Top in Dunkin' Donuts, starting at 5 a.m. And then lastly, I should have put this with the audit, but do we have have we heard anything from Miller Campbell?
I actually heard from them today, actually, and they have reached out to different partners in their firm. They have talked with Tom Dart's office. They've talked with McGladrey. They're getting further information from McGladrey. They wanted some of the older audits and things like that. They are hoping to set up some phone calls next week with me on some specific questions they had, and hopefully they will be getting the third parties all together so we can discuss what goes next. That's what I heard from Daryl today.
I think that would all I have tonight.
Okay. Under my business, trustees, I'd be looking for the motion to approve the settlement agreement with Living Springs International Church.
I will make the motion.
I'll second.
Discussion?
Yes. The executive session minutes, there was a number that the attorney May threw out that she was granted authority to spend, and it appears that this agreement is a little higher than that.
She got approval from the insurance company to go higher.
So
This has been
that's
approved
still going to
by
come out of their, it's going to come out of the
insurance.
risk insurance.
Correct.
I also have a question, and actually it's more of a comment, because I'm still a little, I guess, dumbfounded, is the word that comes to mind. In the past, when we've had questions regarding businesses coming into town, or businesses that apply for application, whether it's a financial institution like the one on 147 Pulaski, that I believe a comment was made that, you know, it was not the ideal business that we were looking for in a downtown plan, but because of laws out there, we would probably be up against the wall if we denied it. I guess I'm a little dumbfounded that we didn't get more legal advice on this. Because of a LUPA law that our insurance attorney informed us of, but our village attorney did not inform us of. I truly feel if we would have been aware of that, that we wouldn't have put up a defense or a denial of special use, because our denial, or based on what we discussed as a board, was it didn't fit within the proper realm of the business that are around it. And we were worried about that. At no time did we get any legal advice from Mr. Gleason. And I am really dumbfounded on I don't know that, I mean,
I asked about that, but he didn't advise us about the federal.
when I talked to the insurance lawyer, within the first 5 minutes, she mentioned the LUPA law.
Relupa.
Yeah.
Relupa.
And if that's been out there, I mean, again, I'm just dumbfounded that we weren't advised on it, because I believe this lawsuit wouldn't be on the books if we would have known about that. That's just how I feel. I don't know if the board feels the same.
The only advice we got was the second time it came up, we had to do something. We had to make a motion to do one thing or the other.
Right.
Approve it or disapprove.
We discussed whether we
Nothing
should
about-
send a police officer over there to ticket him, or if the building department should do that. So, I mean, I don't know.
Basically, the advice he sent to us was, it was up to us that there was no, we didn't have to do any churches in commercial zones, there was no law against it, and zoning, we were fine, and then we denied it even if we said yes, we, to that church, that we didn't have to do additional churches, but that was a whole different realm with the federal law. The federal law supersedes everything under the sun. We would, like you say, Jerry, there would be no question, it would be, slam dunk.
I'm not trying to put any disrespect, Mr. Gleason. I'm just trying to state a fact that I believe we should have been told. Because if we would have been told that, I don't think this would have happened.
Never would have.
And you know what? My personal feeling, I think his law firm should bear some of this responsibility.
Good point.
Even though the insurance pays for.
Well, it's going to affect our rates.
It's going to come back right back at us next time.
Yeah. I mean, I would like to get his opinion or his response if we could.
Okay, I will ask for a response for that.
Thank you.
Okay, I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Roll call.
Trustee Gillis.
Aye.
Trustee Maskell.
Aye.
Trustee Ivan.
Aye.
Trustee Killily.
Aye.
Trustee Kreis.
Aye.
Trustee LaRue.
Aye.
Motion carried.
Okay, and then trustees, I just had included the board minutes from the 13th and the 20th. They'll be on the consent agenda. Karen, thank you for sending me the changes. So they'll be on the consent agenda for next week. Under clerk's business, anything?
And can I ask, can we get corrected copies?
Yeah.
Vote on?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Last week was a change because I got them 15 minutes before the meeting. Go ahead, I'm sorry.
The only thing I have, I sent everybody a copy of the block party request that I recently received for 146, yeah. So, there's no problems with that. I'll move that forward and send them.
Can I ask just one quick question about the form? It said something about public officials
Yes.
being invited, and they left it blank.
So they checked it?
They
Yes.
checked it but left it
Some do,
blank.
some don't.
Yes.
So that's like I was surprised to see it on the form, to be honest.
Well, if you would like a public official to attend, you
Or
can,
fire truck or.
you can request.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, I just thought because it was by my house, that just stopped by. Is that how that works traditionally?
That's how it works.
They
Okay.
checked yes, but they didn't check I put any names down, so.
Okay.
What I'm going to
It says
do,
anybody but Carl Ivan.
Invisible ink, right?
so we can remember, so I can remember, what I'm going to do is for the summer, put a calendar on my desk and it shows where they are, because I don't remember after we talk about it, you know.
Well, and sometimes we're invited, sometimes we're not.
Right.
But you show up anyways.
That's my side of town. Somebody's got to, right?
It's very fun, and the food is great.
Okay, that's all I have.
Okay, thank you. At 8:14, I would be looking for a motion to go to executive session for the discussion of the price of the sale of village property, village-owned property, and also pending litigation.
I will make the motion.
I'll second.
Roll call.
Trustee Kreis.
Aye.
Trustee Maskell.
Aye.
Trustee Gillis.
Aye.
Trustee Ivan.
Aye.
Trustee Killily.
Aye.
Trustee LaRue. Aye. Motion carried.
There will be no further business after executive session.